In this video, we're going to deal with some missing screens and some missing elements. So as for the missing screen goes, I talked about it in the previous lessons. So for example, each and every one of these screens can have another additional screen or maybe few additional screens on top. So for example, we have one screen and you might want to consider including this read more, which will go to about us page. For example, room combinations, maybe you want to include another separate screen, which will then show them the room combination possibilities. What are the room combinations? Maybe you want to tell the story behind the room combinations and explain to them how it came about, how you deal with the photographers, how you deal with the interior designers to create these rooms in the first place, and then how you might want to pitch these products to the consumers. Also here at the top, you might want to consider, because we created 4 dots for the pagination, of creating 4 different elements, so 4 different images which will go inside of this slider. So you might want to consider all of these screens or not, because this is just the first part in this project, and that's what we explained to client. They just want to see the bare bones of this project before we move forward, because that's really important. We want to nail down some most important bits at the front and at the start, and then once we figure out the colors, typography, images, overall direction, maybe they don't like these background shadows, maybe we want to remove them, include some frames inside, and some of those changes. When we got all of that together, then we can move forward and include some of these additional screens. Also, it's a lot easier when you have all of these elements in place to create those additional screens than to start, instead of 10 screens like it is for this project, to start with 200 screens. Then it makes your changes a lot more complicated, a lot more time consuming, both for you and your clients, because instead of providing feedback for 10 screens, they have to provide feedback for 200 screens. It will make their job a lot harder, a lot more time consuming, and that means that they have to put their job on the side and then simply work with you full time on this project. And let me tell you, a lot of the clients don't have that luxury of just leaving their job and their life behind and simply focusing full time on you so that you can create this project for them. That's why we are starting with 10 screens. We know, the client knows, and you have to tell your client, look, these are not all the screens that you're going to need, but these are just starting screens that you're going to need for us to start this project, so that we can move forward and create some additional screens, include some new ones, and we are going to do that in the further parts of this project. So without any further ado, let me quickly show you what are some missing elements. These elements I left out on purpose just to show you what happens, because a lot of the time when you're designing, you just cannot predict everything. No matter how long you are in this business, no matter how many projects you have behind you, a lot of the times you may overlook some things. So for example, you might miss an icon, you might miss some buttons, you might miss some user experience features. So in our case, I left out an icon. So if I zoom in a bit closer, and for example go to this category screen, you can see the cart icon right here. But if I jump into the product page, so selected item page, you cannot see add to cart icon. So when people apply selection, or we are going to change this to add to cart, or for example buy now, and when they click buy now, it will add to cart, but as you can see, there is no add to cart icon. So how we're going to deal with it? Well, it's simple. Let's zoom inside this order icon. Let's create a circle. So maybe something like this. It looks good. Position it right here, maybe right here, somewhere like that. And let's click create number 1. And as you can see, it's 14. Let's lower it down to 10, see how that looks like. Maybe we can position it in the center of this circle. I think that looks good, but you have to test it out. So for example, if they added 10 chairs. So you can type in 10, and as you can see, this is too big because it cannot accommodate this circle. So we have to lower it down even more, maybe to 8, and I think 8 looks good. So what I want to do is simply create 1 for this case and make it go from the center, and now position it in the center of your circle, so like this. But because text has this safe area around at the top and at the bottom, and if I zoom in a lot closer, you can see this area at the top is a lot bigger than this area at the bottom. So what I like to do is, instead of here is the middle, but as you can see there is a lot more empty space at the top, I like to simply eyeball it to somewhere around here. So if you zoom out a bit, you can see it's right in the middle. Now what we want to do next is, maybe we want to try and create a border which is the thickness of this icon, just to see how it looks like, but I don't think it will look that good. So 3. As you can see, it's roughly around there, but it doesn't look that good. So let's simply create 1, and we want to remove the border, and for the fill color, let's simply choose this color, and I think that looks good. Just use the white for the number, and I think it looks good. It's readable and people can read it easily and see what's inside. So what we want to do now is jump back to our layers panel, double click right here, type in circle, choose 1, choose circle, go to the orders and select it as well, Control G, and maybe you want to name it cart icon, something like that, Control C. And what we want to do is jump back right here where our icons are, and we might want to move this a bit. So double click right here, move it somewhere around here, and you might want to select all of these, so up to here, move them out of the way. So once again to here, zoom in a lot closer, Control V, so that we can paste it, line it up with the bottom edge because it has a circle on top, and you can move it to the right and see the spacing between, so it's at 60. And now you can select all of them once again, like so, zoom in a bit closer and make it 60 as well, like so. And you can also double click and maybe do something like this. So now we have this icon, and this is exactly what I was talking about. So a lot of the times you might encounter these issues, but you just want to deal with them as they come along. So for example, now that we have a filled cart icon, we can include it in some other places. So maybe they added an item to cart from here, so they might clicked here, jumped to this page for this couch, add it to cart, and then go back to home, or simply clicked right here to proceed to payment, and maybe they changed their mind, they said okay, I want to go to home screen, they clicked on the logo, maybe it will take them to home, or simply clicked right here on the menu, maybe chose store locations, profile, my orders, or go to anywhere else, but this cart icon will stay filled and they can click on it and jump back right here at any point. So that's how important it is to deal with missing screens, to deal with missing elements, and it will happen in basically every single project you're working on. So just deal with it as it comes along and explain to your clients that sometimes these things might go unnoticed. Sometimes they will change your brief, they will tell you to include some things a bit later in the project. So just know when those things occur, just deal with them as they come along. In the next video, we're going to start with our prototypes, and I'm going to show you how you can duplicate some of these screens to create some awesome animations. So I'll see you there.